I must down to the seas again.
To the lonely sea in the sky.
And all I ask is a tall ship.
And a star to steer her by.
And the wheels kick, and the wind song.
And the white sails shaking.
And a gray mist on the sea's face.
And a gray dawn breaking.
I must down to the seas again.
For the call of the running tide.
Is a wild call and a clear call.
That may not be denied.
And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying.
And the flung spray and the blown spume.
And the seagulls crying.
I must down to the seas again. To the vagrant gypsy life.
To the gull's way and the whale's way.
Where the wind's like a whetted knife.
And all I ask is a merry yarn.
From a laughing fellow rover.
And quiet sleep and a sweet dream.
When the long trick's over.
Good evening. I'm Richard Dumoulin, Master of Ceremonies and Overseer of the National Maritime Historical Society. For some 4 decades, every October, in weather ranging from sunny days with golden leaves rustling on the trees to major blizzards, we have gathered together at the New York Yacht Club to pay homage to those extraordinary individuals and organizations whose exemplary work for our maritime heritage has been an inspiration to everyone. This evening, I'm speaking to you from my hometown Larchmont Yacht Club. We thank Commodore Dinellen and the members for their hospitality. This year, we cannot gather in person, so we are doing it virtually. Since 2020 is not just a year, but also refers to perfect eyesight, we're looking back, clear-eyed, to pay tribute to all our 200 award recipients over the past half-century. A few of them will join us tonight. Before going further in the program, I have a statement to make. As informed maritime people, you all know that Captain Bligh was an expert navigator and remarkable ship's master. However, to the general public, Captain Bligh was a cruel tyrant. Well, sad to say, we have such a cruel tyrant here in our midst. Her name is Birchnell Green. For 7 months, I've not had to wear leather shoes, a tie, or jacket. Tonight, Birchie made Walter, Ron, Chris, George, and me wear black tie tuxedos, what we all don't do for Birchie and the society. Nevertheless, we must all thank Birchie, Jessica, Deirdre, and the staff for helping the society on course during this pandemic. We also appreciate the leadership of Chairman Ron Oswald and the NMHS Board. Special thanks to Vice Chairman Rick Lopes for producing tonight's event. And of course, we thank Dinner Chairman Chris Culver, Honorary Chair George Carmany, and Program Chair Walter Brown. Please give a rousing ovation for all these hardworking friends at NMHS. I'm happy to now turn the screen over to Honorary Dinner Chairman George Carmany.
Thanks, Rich. It's great that we're back here with you emceeing this event again, as you have done peerlessly for many years. You've cited the large number of chairs that we have, testimony to the devotion a number of us feel to the society.
I'm happy to now turn the screen over to Chairman Ron Oswald.
As you know, Rich, the mission of the Society since its founding in 1963 has been to preserve and promote a greater appreciation for America's maritime heritage, which shaped our past and continues to shape our future. As the national voice of the maritime heritage community, we are a beacon of hope during these trying times. As we continue to deliver our Sea History magazine, we work to improve and expand the content of our website and promote and support the work and programs of other members of the maritime heritage world. And finally, to recognize the outstanding contributions and accomplishments of individuals and organizations. You know, Chris, Rich always refers to you as the Rear Commodore.
You know, as my older brother, Dumoulin, you know, he always likes to rib me because I'm actually Vice Commodore, but I know to somebody like Rich who's, you know, we think of him as Magellan. I mean, he's been around that long with as many offshore miles as he has. So as Vice Commodore of the New York Yacht Club, you know, this is a different time, as we all know. The society depends on members. It depends on you to help us move forward. A virtual dinner gives us an opportunity to look in on former recipients around the country. It's great to have them part of this evening's event. We can do interviews of awardees who we would not be able to bring together otherwise. Their list of accomplishments is astonishing, and this evening is an opportunity to remind the maritime heritage community of who they are. You know, I'd like to take a moment to say how grateful we are for all of the sponsors of this very special occasion. Your generosity makes our work possible, and to all our guests at home, if you haven't already made a contribution, can we count on your support tonight? Click on the donate button on your screen, call us at 1-800-221-6647, or give instantly by texting the word GIVE to 914-306-7646. We thank you for your support and for making the 2020 annual awards a great success. And you know, Rich, I was first convinced to support the Society by two former recipients here tonight, you and George Carmany. Two sailors I've long admired. George's work for the America's Cup and your winning the race with Rich Wilson on your 53-foot trimaran from Hong Kong to New York Harbor against Sea Witch's record in 1849. Engaging, no, that's not when you won it actually, Rich, is it? No, that's when you beat Sea Witch's record. But engaging school children the entire exhausting trip was remarkable. I do hope we'll be back at the New York Yacht Club next year, and look forward to continued support of the National Maritime Historical Society.
Thanks, Chris. One cannot help recall the memories of the fine times we've had for many years at the New York Yacht Club. We're doing the best we can to emulate the magic of those evenings tonight, and are very hopeful that we'll be back at the club again next year. We are all grateful for the leadership that you have brought to the Society over the past several years, and look forward to a great evening for everyone and an interesting presentation. Absent being at the club, the format that we're using this evening gives us a great opportunity to continue our outreach and spread it to the many members of the Society who will be interested in hearing this evening's program. Of course, none of this evening would be possible without the continuing dedicated support of our membership and our sponsors. Their graciousness in continuing to support the Society is what makes us successful, and we thank them very much, welcome them and all of you as our guests this evening. We have great items in our silent auction as usual, and they are on the website, and we hope you will bid actively and frequently.
Thanks, George. Here are the sponsors we'd like to thank, including Commodore sponsor Chris Culver. Admiral sponsors Artina Group, George W. Carmany, Rich DeMullen, McAllister Transportation and Towing, Bill White, and myself. Captain sponsors ARS Investment Partners, Cadell Dry Dock and Repair, Marlin Productions, Captain Sally McElreath, Len Mazurek, Tim and Lori Runyon, Captain Cesare Sorio and Jean Wirt, and individual sponsors Admiral Joe Callow, Bertie Green, Bill Green, Karen Helmerson, William G. Muller, Captain Jim Noon, Admiral Bob Papp, David Rockefeller, Rick Scarano, Sharon Slotnick, Bowen Smith, Philip J. and Ermi Webster, and Paul Zabatakis. Thank you. And to all our viewers, can we count on your support tonight? You can click on the donate button on your screen. It's also on our website at seahistory.org. In addition to making a donation this evening, you can support the Society by visiting our silent auction. The silent auction is on our website at seahistory.org and ends a week after the annual awards on October 29th, 2020, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Bid now and bid often, and a special thanks to our auction donors. This year's Marine Art Exhibition, a stunning collection of paintings curated by longtime friend of the Society, Russell Janician, features Sergio Raffo, Neil Hughes, Don Demers, and other internationally acclaimed maritime artists. Best yet, a percentage of sale price of each painting benefits the National Maritime Historical Society and is tax deductible for the buyer. The exhibition is on our website now until October 29th. Back to you, Rich.
Walter, you keep the Society's programs alive and vibrant for the Society. This is your biggest event of the year. Please tell us more about the Society.
Yes, Rich, the awards gala every year is our biggest event. I want to thank Wendy Baggiata for being its unflappable director. Although we have some 10,000 members and our mission as the national voice of the maritime heritage is significant, in many ways we are a family. This is an opportunity to meet with more members geographically. I encourage members to join our virtual events through the end of this year. We have held world-class seminars monthly for years, and now our members all over the globe get to join in. We all miss the socializing and contacts, but believe that will come again. In 2021, we will present the first couple with the David A. O'Neill Sheet Anchor Award. I hope you will join us to pay tribute to Rear Admiral Joe Callow and Captain Sally McElreath. We look forward to seeing you again in person soon.
Now let's join dinner chair Chris Culver when he interviewed 2015 awardee Admiral Jonathan Greenert. Take it away, Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure this evening to introduce you to Admiral Jonathan W. Greenert. Admiral Greenert served in the Navy since graduating the U.S. Naval Academy in 1975, and in 2011, he became the 30th Chief of Naval Operations. Tremendous career, Admiral. Congratulations on the 40 years that you served our country, and we thank you for your service. You know, one of the areas that connects Admiral Greenert to the National Maritime Historical Society is his longstanding commitment to the support he personally and professionally gave to Naval History and Heritage Command. So it's especially wonderful to have you here this evening, Admiral, and we certainly appreciate your service. As you continue to stay in touch with the families, and how are things different today for the sailors coming into the Navy today versus when you did it so many years ago?
Well, when sailors came into the Navy when I was serving, especially in my last few years, a lot of our focus on the mission and the strategy of both the Department of Defense and the maritime part of it, frankly, was in the Middle East. We were into a war on terrorism, we called it, and we had a lot of extremist threats going along. Today, we have what we call a near-peer competition. A lot of folks today is on China as our potential adversary. That is our threat, along with Russia, and in a lot lesser extent, Iran and North Korea, and that extremist threat that I mentioned before. But frankly, our kids join today a lot for the same reason they joined then. They wanted to join something bigger than themselves. They want to make themselves better, and they find that service in the military and in the United States Navy gives them the means to do that.
As we think about the current challenges today in the world and we think about what the future challenges are going to be or could be, why is looking back at history important for the future recruiting, especially?
What I find is values, principles, ethics, and the basic tenets of leadership carried our predecessors, our leaders in the past through, just as they will today, as they are today, and as they do in the future. When I look back at the Pacific War and World War II, a very much maritime campaign, the problem was carriers, the problem was logistics, it was training sailors. So the principles of naval warfare, of maritime conflict, of leadership are a lot the same in the past, in history, than they are today.
It's a good point. You know, there's so much to learn as we look back to look forward. So as you think forward, you know, 40 years of service, again, for your country and for all of us, which we greatly appreciate. What's next? You know, you've given so much to heritage and history, you're certainly just not going to go out and play golf all day. So where do you go from here, and what are your plans to continue to contribute, as I'm sure you will?
Our economy depends on sea trade. So any place where I can help continue that narrative, get that forward, I'm interested in doing that. So I volunteer on the board of the United States Naval Institute. I volunteer on the board of the Naval Submarine League to help people understand and realize that narrative of the importance of the submarine community and to help the families. And I also volunteer on the board of the Naval Mutual Aid Association to help provide affordable, good insurance to our families.
We need to continue to mentor our young adults and instill the values as we go forward. So I thank you very much for that. And is there anything else that you'd like to share with us this evening that I haven't asked?
Well, I just want to take the time to thank the people that volunteer at this wonderful nonprofit, the National Maritime Historical Society. It's a wonderful society to bring that narrative, that consistent narrative, from not only the United States Navy, the military aspect or the security aspect of the maritime, but also down through the social aspects and the trade, economic aspects of the maritime. Having a national society like this is a gift, and we need to continue to nurture it, and I thank those that do.
Well, Admiral, it's a great privilege to have you be a part now of both the past, the present, and the future of the National Maritime Historical Society. We greatly value your service to the country and the maritime services, so we thank you very much.
You're welcome, Chris. It's been my pleasure.
Now let's listen in to Honorary Chair George Carmany interviewing 2003 winner Dr. Robert Ballard.
Bob Ballard, celebrated oceanographer.
Explorer.
Explorer. You grew up in San Diego, right down the road from Scripps Institute.
Yeah.
And you were inspired. Your aha moment, as you told me, was seeing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Your story reminds me of another great mariner, if I can put it that way, Olin Stevens, the premier yacht designer in the United States for many years, who in his biography wrote, "I was lucky. I had a dream. I wanted to build fast boats." Taking the fast boats out of it, the "I was lucky, I had a dream" comparison strikes me as exactly yours, and it's led to an unbroken career in oceanography and marine geology. Could you talk with us about how that developed?
I'm a kid from Kansas. I was born in Wichita, Kansas, where all oceanographers come from. 6 months after Pearl Harbor, my father then entered the war. He was an engineer, and he was a test flight engineer during the war. My life began in California, but initially in the Mojave Desert. And then after the war, we moved to San Diego. My father got into aerospace in Convair. And the ocean became my playpen. But I would say For me, the aha moment was when I was 12. Walt Disney produced the movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, being dyslexic, I didn't read the book. I went to the movie. I'm a visual person. And I'll never forget watching that movie when the Nautilus attacked this British warship and sank it. Cut to the next scene, and it's Kirk Douglas or Ned treading water the next morning in the middle of nowhere. He sees an object, and it's the Nautilus. And he comes aboard the Nautilus, and he goes inside, and there's no one there. So he's exploring, he comes down, and he opens the window like the iris of a lens, and he sees Captain Nemo and his team walking on the bottom of the ocean, burying one of their dead in an underwater cemetery. And I had grown up seeing the ocean, exploring it, surfing it, but never thought about the ocean having a bottom. And yet there they were walking. And that's when I decided I wanted to not only be a modern day Captain Nemo, I wanted to be a marine geologist, because to be a Captain Nemo, I had to be an engineer. I went into, I quadruple majored and went into deep submersion, became initially an Army officer during Vietnam, but then a naval officer in deep submergence in submarines. Woods Hole, 30 years, every kind of submarine you can imagine. But then I had a duality of then being a scientist. And I chose marine geology and geophysics because I wanted to learn the bottom of the ocean. So fundamentally, I've lived these parallel paths in engineering, building my toys, then using my toys, building, and this is my latest toy. This is my ship, and naturally, it's called the Nautilus.
Of course. Now, what could the National Maritime Historical Society do to help you advance this work?
Tell people to get involved in our educational programs. We take young people to sea with us. We have teachers, students, educators. Everyone talks about STEM, science, technology, engineering. We are STEAM. We add the arts. In fact, I'm building a new facility here on the grounds of the Lyman Allen Museum in New London, Connecticut, called the Deep Sea Space. If you think this is wild, wait till that building gets up and running, and you will be surrounded in reality beneath the sea. You will become a fish. And we will able to go and look at all the maritime history that is still yet to be discovered and do it live. Beam it into schools, involve. It's all about getting the next generation ready. And we have the ability to go into any classroom in America, and I would just ask your membership, what classroom would you like us to go into? And let's make it happen. And if you want to watch it live, go to nautiluslive.org. And
that's live?
That's live.
Right in my office.
Right on your laptop, your cell phone, or wherever you want it, nautiluslive.org, and you're in the room with us.
Looking at the seabed at Seattle at the moment.
24/7 till December 7th.
Bob, we can't thank you enough. As I said, we've honored you before, but you honor us even more doing this, and the vision that you've laid out is what is out there in the next 12 months. Your next Everest, as I put it, is inspiring for all of us. And very importantly, as you said, inspiring for young people if we can help you draw them into your program. We thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Admiral Bob Papp has turned the tides on Rick Lopes, our filmmaker, and is interviewing him.
I've been given the privilege this evening of interviewing a very dear friend and shipmate and one of the mainstays of the National Maritime Historical Society, Rick Lopes. Rick, welcome and congratulations on being honored this evening. And I'd like to start off by asking you to tell all of us how it is that you got interested in the National Maritime Historical Society, and I guess as a lead up to that as well, how did you develop your interest in the sea, which then of course leads into NMHS?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Admiral. You're a dear, dear friend. My father was a seaman. Early on, he went out to sea in the last of the coastal cargo ships going up and down New England and then transcontinental. And then he ended up going into the Navy, serving in World War II, and then spent most of his life going deep sea as a merchant marine on tugboats as a first mate and captain. He did a few stints on the Cape as a ferry boat captain and sightseeing captain. So that was the connection in part to my seafaring love. And added to that is he did not want my brother and I to go to sea. He spent all of his life going 6 months on, 6 months off, 2 months on, 2 months off. And he wanted us to have more of an option than he did. As a result, I've gravitated to doing things the best I can, giving back to the maritime world through education, through short films, and so forth. And that's how, in part, I've got hooked up with the NMHS.
Well, what about the videography business? That, I think, is the thing that really distinguishes you in terms of your contributions to NMHS. How did that begin?
My background is in education. I have a degree in history and educational administration. Somewhere along the line, I realized that I would like to have blended the two. I guess in part seeing Jacques Cousteau. I ended up going into commercial productions and then spent 30 years doing nearly 2,000 commercials. I went into business with my brother as an executive producer, and then somewhere along the way, I became a director as well. I had noticed is that wouldn't it have been great to do some biopics on the awardees? And one of the last people that put it over the top for me was Walter Cronkite. I wanted very much to have a record of him for the society, and we didn't get a chance to do that. Others that we weren't able to film at the time, yourself, Bob Ballard, and many others. So I said to the society, why don't we try to do these short films? And we've been doing that since 2012. Great experience, met so many wonderful people, and hopefully the society and its members have enjoyed it. But I must say that it certainly is not my abilities alone. First of all, it couldn't be done without the assistance of my son, Alessandro, who's the cameraman, editor. So I'm very fortunate and thrilled to work with him and call him a friend and a colleague. Jessica MacFarlane, Birchie Green, the staff of the society.
Well, I think for all of us who attend the NMHS dinners, whether it's the annual New York dinner or the National Maritime Awards dinner here in Washington, D.C., the highlight of the evening is watching the award videos that are done for the people who are being honored those evenings. So Rick, as I've said, I think most of us know you because of the awards videos. Those of us who work close with you get to know you a little bit better. But those who attend the dinners, that's they may think that that's all that you do. What would you say you take most pride in terms of accomplishments or things that you've initiated with the society?
Years ago, when my boys were young, they were reading magazines that were about discovery, wildlife, history, science. And I said, I wonder if there's a way that we can create something that would speak to the maritime world. And from that came Sea History for Kids. I think it's been a tremendous resource for young kids and young adults to be able to read the magazine and get some information and be motivated by what they read about. That's one that I'm very pleased about. The second, as we mentioned, was establishing the awards and short stories for the organizations and individuals. And then the last thing would be the longer format work that we're co-producing with the Society. One on Flight 1549's rescue. And the second one would be a longer series that we're doing called Sails Over Ice and Seas, and that's about the schooner Ernestina Morrissey's life and times. And that's quite an epic story.
Well, Rick, thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege for me to interview you, and it's kind of unique to have it the other way around for a change. But thank you for all the good works that you do for the National Maritime Historical Society, and fair winds to you, shipmate.
The honor is all mine, Admiral. Bob, thank you so very much, and to the Society for recognizing the small efforts that I've done. Thank you.
Karen Helmerson is interviewing Mary Habstrit with Jerry Weinstein aboard Lilac, the oldest surviving steam-powered U.S. Coast Guard lighthouse tender.
Hi. It's a real pleasure today, a real treat actually, to be on board the Lilac. And we're here today with Mary Habstrit and Jerry Weinstein.
Thanks. Welcome aboard.
Mary, tell us what are the major challenges of operating and maintaining an historic vessel in New York Harbor?
Well, one of the key things is having a long-term berth that's properly equipped, that's easily accessible for the public. We're at a great location here in Hudson River Park, but the agreement's only for 3 years at a time, so every 3 years we're going through a whole process of writing a proposal and bidding to keep the berth. And it's just become very, very hard too, as piers get used for other purposes, to be able to do work on a ship pierside without having conflicts about the kind of work that we're doing.
Jerry, how did the concept of the Lilac first come about?
Well, back in 1956, I was attending Camp Celeste in Garrison, New York, and they took us for a cruise on the Alexander Hamilton. I spent the whole time in the engine room. I was hooked on steam. And so I spent many, many years of my life trying to save one steamship after the other. And I was president of the Pegasus Project, and Huntley and Pam said, "You gotta come and look at this ship."
So once you did visit the Lilac, what was your first impression, and then what followed after that?
I went down in the engine room, and I went down into the bilge, and I started chipping away at the concrete pump-out layer to see what did the hull look like. We told the owner that we'd give him $12,500 to get the ship into a shipyard. If we liked it, we'd give him another $12,500 and take it away.
When Jerry decided to buy Lilac, he did not ask me. And I was pretty much not involved until I started seeing a need for assisting with community and government relations, and then it kind of morphed into me becoming the director. I thought it would be temporary, and I've been here for over 10 years.
So Mary, now that you're here at Pier 25, tell us what your plans are going forward for programming once you are able to open and to the public and program comfortably again.
Pier 25 in Hudson River Park is one of 3 piers that were specifically to host historic vessels. The park is mandated to do that. And part of the deal for historic vessels to berth in the park is that they provide public programming. But of course, we want people to know about the Lilac. We want them to be interested in volunteering and donating, and we want them to be as impressed about the history as we are. it's a special job to be able to tell people about what this ship did, because the aids to navigation teams of the Coast Guard are the most unsung of the unsung. We get to tell people about them. In a city of islands where most of our visitors have never seen a buoy. So we are teaching them really important information about what life is like on the water and how ships get around safely. And this ship was part of all that, taking care of buoys and lighthouses and making sure they stayed in good repair to help ships move safely.
I have to give Mary credit for bringing a lot of attention to the Coast Guard role. I think that's a much bigger thing for the ship.
So, Mary, how does that manifest itself in terms of programs?
We're open for tours to the public every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from Memorial Day weekend until about mid-October. She was launched on May 26th in 1933, so every Memorial Day weekend we open with birthday cake. They get to tour the ship, walk around on their own, but meet with docents on the bridge and the engine room who give them detailed information about the systems of the ship, both the steam propulsion and how the ship itself was navigated, how she helped other ships to navigate. And we do special events. We're sitting in our main event space. The buoy deck becomes our party space. We have art exhibits that change a couple times every summer, and we always have an opening or a closing party. We've had musical performances here, dance performances, and it's a way to bring people who might not come to a historic ship to visit. Many of them fall in love. Our most popular program was the Floating Library, an art installation where we had deck furniture out here and people were asked to shut off their phones and relax on the water and just read a book. We had over 10,000 visitors that summer.
Oh my goodness. What else would you like people to know about the Lilac?
She still has her original 500 horsepower triple expansion steam engines. Guys usually get excited when I say things like that. The ship is owned by our nonprofit, and we have run on a very slim budget. I'm very frugal. We can always use more money and contributions of time and in-kind equipment. She was a buoy tender and had to be out in all kinds of weather. She also broke ice, so she's got a very, very strong riveted hull. It's a ship that will last.
Sea History editor Deirdre Reagan is talking to Nathaniel Philbrick, award-winning author of many books, including Mayflower. I've read every book that Nat wrote. And Quentin Snedeker, manager of Mayflower's restoration at Mystic Seaport. Both are early NMHS award recipients.
I'm honored today to be able to meet with two of our past awardees, author Nathaniel Philbrick and Mystic Seaport's shipyard director Quentin Snedeker. In the past couple of years, both men have been intensely involved with a project that has a mutual theme, namely the Mayflower, which in 2020 is celebrating its 400th anniversary of its 1620 crossing. Nat, I wanted to ask you, what was it about the Mayflower story that got you interested in writing a book about it? And in doing your research, was there something that you found that surprised you or caught you off guard from what you thought you understood about the Mayflower story?
My involvement with the Mayflower as a historical topic was a complete surprise to me. I grew up, like most people, thinking of the Pilgrims as kind of the quaint parodies of history we look to during Thanksgiving. What could be more boring than the Pilgrims? And then it was when I started working on my first work of history, way offshore, about the history of where I live, Nantucket, I realized I needed to look into the history of New England to put it in context. And that's when I first read, in any serious way, William Bradford's A Plymouth Plantation. And it was revelation. Suddenly, these were not Victorian characters with buckles on their shoes. These were real people, ordinary people, with deep religious beliefs under extraordinary circumstances. I realized is once I finished my book about Nantucket, which then led me to In the Heart of the Sea, I needed to return to the Pilgrim's story. And what really got me excited, being a maritime guy, was, hey, the story is going to begin with the voyage of the Mayflower. And so from the beginning, it was like, you can't make this stuff up. It gets delayed from the very beginning. Finally, they head out at the worst of time, and the fall is coming on, and they have a voyage from hell as they make their way to the New World. And so for me, this was a process of realizing the myths of America under them are real stories that are as relevant to us today as they've ever been, I think. And so for me, the Mayflower was the book really where I began to connect history with the past and how it meshes with today.
Nat, when you were researching for the Mayflower for the book, was there anything that surprised you or that you weren't expecting?
I had grown up thinking of the Pilgrims as pioneers, as rugged types that through their expertise, courage, and religious faith were able to carve out an outpost in the wilderness. And it was interesting to learn that really wasn't the case, that they were about the worst settlers you could think of. The first winter, half of them died. They were in a land about which they knew nothing. And if it wasn't for the intervention of the Wampanoag's leader, or sachem, Massasoit, the Pilgrim colony would have vanished after the first year. And it became a story of cross-cultural cooperation. Look at the first Thanksgiving, where we think of this as in the Victorian tableau of the Pilgrims sitting around a table with a turkey on it as a few curious Native Americans look on, when actually it was a primarily Wampanoag affair. It wasn't technically a Thanksgiving, it was more like a harvest festival in which the Pilgrims were outnumbered 2-1 by the Wampanoag, provided most of the food. And I think this is an important metaphor for what was remarkable about what was achieved in the Plymouth colony for the first 50 years of the settlement. What is not so remarkable, and is unfortunately a real index of where this country was headed in terms of its settlement in the West, was that just 55 years after the voyage of the Mayflower, a terrible war between the English settlers and their native allies in New England would erupt, known as King Philip's War. And everything that had been built up in those first years of cooperation was destroyed. And so much of that prefigured what would happen to America during its brutal march west to the Pacific. And so yes, the whole subject was a surprise that seemed remarkably relevant to not just New England, but American history as a whole.
Quentin, the Preservation Shipyard and Mystic Seaport Museum works on vessels from all kinds of eras. How hard is it for you and the crew to go from the 17th century to the 20th century? And what is the oldest ship you've worked on?
Well, the oldest ship we've worked on at the museum shipyard is, of course, the Charles W. Morgan, 1841. Very few vessels of that era survive at all. In terms of the Mayflower, while Baker did a tremendous amount of research in the early 50s to define what the original Mayflower would have been, when it came to the physical construction of the vessel, he actually followed much more modern rules of construction. The essentially ABS rules for building wooden ships from the late 19th century is what was used to actually build the ship itself. And therefore, it's much more similar to vessels that we're familiar with than even the Morgan. Of course, we did work side by side with people from Plymouth. There were 3 individuals who were here from day one, working side by side with shipyard staff in order to see the project done. And Whit Perry, their captain and director of maritime preservation, was here every day, literally. There was sort of a very harmonious melding of the 2 organizations in this collaboration. I think what Nat's work did for us was, as he said, really give more personality, more identity to the human beings, the human aspect of the vessel, the voyage. And you couldn't walk aboard the vessel, go into the 'tween decks without thinking of the hardship that those 102 souls plus crew experienced in the voyage. So it really gave much more vibrance, much more life to the vessel itself as we went forward.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you both for taking the time to join with me today to have this conversation in support of the National Maritime Historical Society's annual awards dinner. The work you've both done is extraordinary and important, and I really just wanted to thank you for participating.
Well, that Deirdre, thanks very much for asking us to participate in this. The organization has been a very important part of my life as a whole, but especially in my working career. And to have the recognition, be honored by the organization, really one of the highlights of my experience. And certainly working on Mayflower was a real milestone in that career. Thank you.
Deirdre, it's been great to talk to you today, and Quentin, wonderful to see you again virtually. And I just have to thank this wonderful organization for honoring me in the past and continuing to do the amazing job you do to connect America's history of this and the sea to what's happening today. Because more than ever before in these divided times, we need good history groups to connect us with what happened in the past, so that it can help us in dealing with what's in the future. So thank you very much.
The Society has worked to preserve many historic ships around the country. Let's do a quick roll call of a few of them.
Rich, let's reach out to the volunteer crew of Star of India in San Diego.
Hello, Sea History Readers! From the Maritime Museum of San Diego and the Star of India crew!
We will all be sailing together.
When it's safe.
Until then,
Hold fast!
We will weather this.
Hip 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 hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
And here's David Rockefeller for Sailors for the Sea.
Good evening, ocean lovers. A decade ago, Sailors for the Sea and I were fortunate enough to receive the Society's Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Maritime Education. And today it is more important than ever that all of us who love the ocean save the ocean and protect the ocean. In the background here, you're seeing my sailing team winning, and more, with help from groups like Oceana and Sailors for the Sea, we are winning battles to protect the ocean. Have a great night.
Captain Jonathan Bulware for Wavertree.
Hello, friends and colleagues. This is Jonathan Bulware, president of South Street Seaport Museum in New York City. I'm standing here on Pier 16 next to the East River and under the mast and rigging of the ship Wavertree. So great to be with you virtually for this evening and wanting to celebrate the 2020 awards dinner. This museum was founded, as you know, by Peter Stanford, his wife Norma. Peter was also, of course, chairman emeritus of the National Maritime Historical Society, and also among prior awardees are Carl Kortum, who identified this ship Wavertree for the Seaport Museum in 1968, and founding chairman Jacob Isbranson, who made the purchase and transport of the ship here to New York a possibility. Pleased to say that in 2016 we finished what was intended, which was a restoration of this ship, and I join with all of you there this evening in celebrating maritime heritage, in celebrating our work to elevate the maritime here in the US. And with that, I give you a view of the ship Wavertree and my best wishes for an excellent 2020 awards dinner.
Let's visit America's sailing ship, U.S. Coast Guard Bark Eagle, once commanded by our Admiral Bob Papp.
So I'd like to do a shout out tonight to the ship that is probably my favorite ship in the world, and that's the Coast Guard Bark Eagle, the tall ship, the training ship for the United States Coast Guard Academy.
Let's hear from Captain Walter Ripka, who's doing a shout out on behalf of Alyssa.
Hello, my name is Walter Ribka. 37 years ago, I was the restoration director for Alyssa in Galveston. And the National Maritime Historical Society recognized the volunteer effort through the American Ship Trust Award, an effort that is still ongoing.
Captain Jeffrey McAllister takes us to Kingston, New York on Hudson to visit the McAllister tug Matilda, given our award back in 1989.
Hello everyone, I am Captain Jeffrey McAllister here at the Hudson River Maritime Museum. I'm standing in front of the 1898 steam tug Matilda, donated by McAllister Towing in 1983. In 1989, the National Maritime Historical Society gave my grandfather and this tugboat the American Ship Trust Award. The Matilda is one of the few remaining steam tugs in existence with her original steam engine intact. She's a popular attraction educating visitors about how tugs work.
We travel to Hamburg, Germany to view the restored Peking with gratitude to Jack and Peter Arendt, who brought her to South Street Seaport, working with our President Emeritus Peter Stanford, maintaining her so that one day she could be fully restored.
Built in Hamburg and launched in 1911, Peking's remarkable history includes rounding Cape Horn 34 times, surviving 2 world wars, and spending 4 decades as a museum ship for South Street Seaport Museum in New York City. In September 2020, Peking returned to Hamburg, where she will serve as a museum ship and treasured landmark at the German Port Museum.
Let's welcome Francis McDonald, President of Massachusetts Maritime Academy, the new steward of Ernestina Morrissey.
Hello, I'm Admiral Fran McDonald, President of Massachusetts Maritime Academy, the proud new custodian of the Ernestina Morrissey, the Commonwealth's official sailing ship. Built in Essex, Massachusetts in 1894, and a 1982 winner of the NMHS American Ship Trust Award, the Ernestina has served the world as an Arctic exploration vessel, as a packet ship bringing immigrants from Cape Verde to these United States, and as an educational platform proudly serving her home port of New Bedford, Massachusetts. Upon completion of her ongoing total restoration at the hands of the very able shipwrights at Booth Bay Harbor Shipyard, the Ernestina will begin her next chapter as a sail training vessel for the fine cadets at Massachusetts Maritime. While doing so, she will continue to serve as an educational platform for middle school and high school students from around the world, and will continue her role as an ambassador for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the nation, and I am pleased to say she will do so for decades to come.
It's been such a treat to see all the historic ships and preservation successes out there. We applaud the efforts of these esteemed award recipients. We're happy that a few more of our awardees are able to make a special appearance with us this evening.
I'm John Lehman, addressing you from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I'm here to talk a little bit about an organization that is so important not only to me, but to the future of this country. The National Maritime Historical Society and Sea History magazine have had a very important impact over the years. And as an overseer, I've been very proud of that, because it has been a politically correct trend, unfortunately, that more and more schools are just not teaching history. And so organizations like the Society have to fill that gap. And indeed, they've been doing that, and it's having an effect. They've been quite a catalytic to more and more books being written about history. And maritime history is really at the core of the founding of this country. And it's going to become more and more important. And I am very proud to be able to be a part of that going forward. And I hope everybody will join us in this more important effort than ever before. Thank you.
Let's hear from Captain Don Walsh, recipient of the 2012 Distinguished Service Award.
Good evening. My name is Don Walsh, and I was a 2012 awardee from the National Maritime Historical Society, and I wanted to greet you this evening on the occasion of the 2020 awards. I grew up on San Francisco Bay and first went to sea about 70 years ago on the battleship Wisconsin when I was a midshipman at the Naval Academy. And since that time, I've gone to sea on just about anything that floated, from self-propelled watercraft to nuclear icebreakers, and from cruise ships to cruisers, and from submarines to sailboats. And all that experience has built into me or given me a lifelong love of history, especially the maritime history of our republic. And so I salute the National Maritime Historical Society for maintaining that heritage and promoting it. Because if we don't know where we've been, then we don't know where we're going. Thank you.
Here's James Delgado, recipient of the 2016 Rodney Houghton Award.
Welcome to all of my friends in the National Maritime Historical Society. It was an honor to receive the Rodney Houghton Award for Best Feature Article in Sea History. It was an opportunity once again to share through one of the best magazines in the world that celebrates maritime heritage. And in that article, as well as the others that I've been privileged to be able to publish in sea history, an opportunity to share stories about the great frontier that is the sea. As an archaeologist, I've worked in the seven seas and a few beyond, looking at lost ships, but also tying those stories back to the ports, to the places, and to the people who were associated with them. And in that, helping weave together through the power of the physical survival of ships in the deep or in rivers, lakes, or underneath landfill, to remind people of how important the oceans and the waters that connect to those oceans have been in the development of human society. One thing I do know, not only as an archaeologist, but as a person who's passionately involved in maritime preservation, is that we need to do more than simply study and preserve historic shipwrecks. There are historic ships, historic waterfront communities, working landscapes, navy yards, lighthouses, life-saving stations, small craft, floating historic ships. All together, these, as well as the collections in our museums and historic sites, speak powerfully to just how important maritime history and maritime activity has been and continues to be. I hope you'll join me in supporting the National Maritime Historical Society and the work that it does. It's very important, and in particular, I encourage you to not only support the National Maritime Historical Society, but any and every endeavor in your own town, in your own community, that also speaks to the importance of maritime heritage as well as heritage at large. Wish I could be there with you all in reality, but instead we'll all meet virtually. Take care, and thank you again for supporting the National Maritime Historical Society.
Let's head over to author James L. Nelson, the 2009 Rodney Houghton Award recipient.
Hi, Jim Nelson here. In 2009, the National Maritime Historical Society kindly awarded me the Rodney and Houghton Award. I always keep this with me wherever I am. And they asked me to give an update on what I'm doing right now. Mostly I'm just hanging out on my boat, which I always enjoy. Unfortunately, my boat is up on jack stands in my yard, so that makes it a little less fun. Still writing full-time. I'm starting a new series based on the Buccaneers of the 17th century. But even more interesting than that, I've been working as lead rigger on a ship that we're building in Bath, Maine. It's called the Virginia, and it's a replica of a vessel that was built here on the coast of Maine in 1607. The ship is mostly done now. Hull is complete. Rigging is mostly finished. We'll be launching next summer. So if any of you folks are in Bath, Maine, please come by and visit us or check out our website here. Thanks much.
Here's our good friend, NMHS trustee and treasurer, William H. White, winner of not just the inaugural Rodney Houghton Award in 2008, but also the 2004 David A. O'Neill Sheet Anchor Award for his steadfast support and far-reaching impact on the society.
Good evening. As a writer of many books of maritime historical fiction and nonfiction, I have been an appreciative reader of the fine maritime articles in Sea History magazine, edited by Dierenger Reagan. About a dozen years ago, the National Maritime Historical Society instituted the Rodney Houghton Award for the best feature article in Sea History magazine. I was highly honored to be the first recipient of this fine award, and it was particularly nice for me because Rodney was a dear friend and had a great fondness for the written word. Now, Sea History has become the voice of the national maritime heritage, and you can read all the articles on our website, seahistory.org, as well as in the quarterly hard copy magazines. I hope you will check them out because you will not be disappointed.
Let's hear from Chuck Townsend, 2016 Distinguished Service Award recipient.
I'm delighted to be joining this evening, Thursday, October 22nd, in celebration of the National Maritime Historical Society's evening celebration. It's a delight to join dinner chair Chris Culver and honorary chair George Carmany and Master of Ceremonies Rich DeMoulin for this evening. And I think back with very, very fond memories and my own experience in being honored. I think that was several years ago. I'll not try to make it more than that, but it feels that recent to me, even though it may have been further back in history. You know, we're in a very, very interesting moment, I feel, as the society and in a way as the country. There is this unusual effort, it feels like, to rewrite history and maybe even villainize history and to do away with what we all hold so valuable and important. And I think it puts more pressure than ever on the National Maritime Historical Society to be the force that it is and continue to ensure that the maritime history of America is recorded as it occurred and is translated and transmitted as it occurred and available for generations and generations to come. I know we're all united in that concern and united in that effort, in that commitment. And if it wasn't for the National Maritime Historical Society, you know, I have a real fear that the sea history of America could be rewritten for a convenient read, if nothing worse. So the magazine Sea History continues to be a vital element. The communications from the Historical Society continue to be a vital element, and our universal support of the Historical Society is more important than ever. I hope everyone has an absolutely wonderful evening. I know I will, and I certainly look forward to those times when we can get together again.
And here's Captain Peg Brandon, President of Sea Education Association, winner of the 2018 Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Maritime Education.
Sea Education Association has trained and mentored thousands of young mariners and scientists who have gone on to take the lessons learned aboard our training ships to succeed in countless careers. Today, we are delighted to welcome 24 undergraduate and GAP students aboard our senior flagship, the Sailing School Vessel Corps with Kramer, to begin their 6-week, 3,000-mile odyssey through the North Atlantic. They'll soon find out that there's no more powerful classroom than a sailing ship at sea. Thank you and fair winds to all our friends at the National Maritime Historical Society. We appreciate your continued support and encouragement.
We were honored to present maritime painter Patrick O'Brien with the 2012 Distinguished Service Award.
The National Maritime Historical Society was instrumental in founding the American Society of Marine Artists, and by working closely together, our two groups are more effective than ever. I encourage you to check out the Marine Artists website. The art there brings our maritime past to life and shows how important this heritage is to our present and to our future. On behalf of the American Society of Marine Artists, I toast the National Maritime Historical Society.
And here's America's ambassador of sailing and MC of our Washington annual dinners, Gary Jobson, winner of the 2006 Distinguished Service Award.
Welcome to Annapolis and the United States Naval Academy. Sailing is a wonderful sport that lasts a lifetime, and it connects the generations in a very special way. Sailing is also a sport that helps young people learn the values of leadership and teamwork. For me, I love being on the water, and I love being with the people that share this passion. I'd like to thank the National Maritime Historical Society for this very special honor and give a toast to all the other recipients.
And now we head to Annapolis to hear from Vice Admiral Peter Daly, United States Navy.
Greetings to all attendees from Annapolis. I'm Peter Daly, CEO and publisher of the U.S. Naval Institute, and I wish to congratulate all the NMHS award recipients over the last 5 decades. It was a great honor to receive award recognition in 2018 for leadership of the Naval Institute, and it's my privilege to continue to lead the Institute now in its 147th year. Our focus in 2020 has been to continue to deliver on our mission to provide an independent forum for those who dare to read, think, speak, and write. Despite COVID, it's been exciting to see our staff continue to prevail, and it'll be even more exciting when we can put this pandemic, which has affected so many, in the rearview mirror. Enjoy the program.
Anne Grimes Rand, President and CEO of the Constitution Museum, takes us to Old Ironsides in Boston Harbor.
Hi, I'm Anne Grimes Rand, the President and CEO of the USS Constitution Museum. I'm here at Old Ironsides, the oldest commissioned warship afloat in the world. Yesterday, she celebrated her 223rd birthday, so I share birthday greetings with all of you. Come tour Constitution and visit her museum across the pier. We're open each weekend with hands-on fun for all ages. Or check us out online. You're sure to enjoy it. Greetings from Boston.
Let's head over to North Carolina to hear from Timothy Runyon, Chairman of the National Maritime Alliance and winner of the 2018 David A. O'Neill Sheet Anchor Award.
Good evening. I'm Tim Runyon, and I'm here to talk about advocacy. Advocacy is an important part of what we do here at the National Maritime Historical Society and in support of organizations like the National Maritime Alliance that I chair that seeks to find federal support for the maritime heritage community. Now, we do this because our advocacy produced way back in the 1990s the National Maritime Heritage Act that provides a funding stream to support maritime education and preservation projects through a grants program. So what we need to do is provide money for the grants program, which hasn't always been easy to do. So we have managed through our efforts to gain about $10 million over the last several years that have gone to the program, and grants have gone all over the country in support of important projects, including here at our society placing sea history online for the first time, and now can be enjoyed by viewers everywhere on any screen or device. This is a very important step forward and an example of what can be done. But I need your support because it's through your outreach to members of Congress that we really achieve our goal of getting their support in support of our requests for funding the National Maritime Heritage Act and other initiatives that we may put forward. They want to hear from constituents, not from me. And so while I may walk the halls of Congress, I need to do it representing you. And you need to communicate so that I have your backing when I go there as a representative. And not just me, all of those who make an effort to reach out to members to gain that support. We have a bill for $5 million that has passed the House and is at the Senate now, and COVID willing, we hope to get that support in the coming year. So please support our efforts in maritime heritage advocacy. Thank you.
The Society is our members. We count on you to make our work a reality. I'm joined by our cruel Captain Bligh, President Birchie Green, and our Vice President Development Director, Jessica MacFarlane. Birchie and Jess, how could our guests this evening help us?
Especially this year, when the Society's work is more vital than ever, with our incredible web resources, See History Magazine, and our collaboration with so many organizations to get the word out about exciting virtual seminars and programs. We are asking for your support. Also this year, after 27 years in the same location, we are moving from our old Fleischmann's Gin building on the Hudson to another great old brick building in Peekskill, the Hat Factory. There, we will have the space we need to properly care for our Maritime Library. This year, we are tasked with so many important projects and have a great need for your help. The wheel of the Kyalani, the square-rigged bark we were founded to save and that appears on our logo, will be in the entranceway to our new headquarters, and we will have a plaque recognizing supporters. This plaque in its way is as important as the plaques we bestow on our award recipients, because without financial support, we are dead in the water. All 2020 supporters at the $2,500 level or higher will be listed. Can we add your name? You will see on your screen how to contribute. Every contribution is important, even if you contribute a few dollars to let us know you stand with us. We are grateful. Thank you. Hey, Jessica, can you tell our viewers how they can learn more about all the National Maritime Historical Society award recipients?
Thanks, Birchie. We hope you'll read more about all our award recipients on our website at seehistory.org, and we invite you to help us pay tribute to all those whose work represents the heart of America's maritime heritage. We need your help as we strive to broaden knowledge of our maritime heritage, illuminate the work of outstanding individuals in the field, connect members, and expand our breadth to new audiences. In addition to your support of the ongoing work we do to honor the maritime heritage, your generosity goes a long way to help support See History's ongoing celebration of our maritime heritage in print and on the Society's website. Now more than ever, we are a beacon of hope for the maritime heritage community as we deliver See History to mailboxes and provide a website alive with new and newsworthy information.
You're also supporting maritime education initiatives like National History Day, the year-long educational program in which over 500,000 middle and high school students prepare a history project.
Your support makes possible our documentary series on Ernestina Morrissey and all our resources highlighting the plight of historic ships in distress and promoting preservation successes. With your help, our Maritime Library and Collections is saving for future generations a treasure of maritime scholarship, information, literature, and seafaring lore.
The most important thing you can do right now to support our shared maritime history is to contribute today. We need the support of members, viewers, and leaders like you to keep doing the work we do. Your help makes all our progress possible and ensures our position as the national voice of our maritime heritage.
Please take a moment to act now and support your society with a contribution. There are 3 easy ways to contribute. Click on the donate button below and on our website at seehistory.org. Call us toll-free at 800-221-6647 extension 0, or give immediately via text message by texting the word GIVE to 914-306-7646. It's fast and secure to donate online. Operators are standing by for your call, and it's never been easier to give right from your cell phone and not miss a minute of the awards show.
No matter the size of your gift, you are playing an important role in preserving our shared maritime heritage. Thank you for your continued support.
We've lost too many good friends and maritime stalwarts this year and are lessened by each of their passing. We are saddened to lose one of the mainstays of the Society from COVID-19 in March, our Chairman Emeritus, Howard Slotnick. Our trustee and the 24th Commandant of the United States Coast Guard, Admiral Robert Papp, will join us in a testimony to Howard.
Good evening. I've been given the almost impossible task of trying to pay tribute to our dear departed Chairman Emeritus Howard Slotnick in under 5 minutes. Where do I begin? Well, for me, it begins back on the 19th of May in 1996, nearly 25 years ago. It was a reception at the Coast Guard Academy the evening before my change of command ceremony for the Coast Guard Bark Eagle. And somewhere during the evening, out of the crowd walks this distinguished-looking gentleman with grayish hair, rosy cheeks, and a twinkle in his eye. And he walked over to me, extended his hand, and in that unmistakable New York accent said, "Hi, I'm Howard Slotnick. I've been talking to your wife, and I understand we're going to be good friends. Oh, and I'm sailing with you this summer. I'm going to meet you in Amsterdam." And then as he turned to walk away, he said, "Oh, and by the way, the Admiral's cabin is reserved for me." Well, I didn't know how to take that. And in the beginning, I didn't know how to take Howard. But he did, in fact, meet me in Amsterdam. And he sailed with me to various ports in Europe. And we became fast friends. It was a friendship that lasted over 24 years and was cut short untimely by Howard's death due to COVID-19 back in March. I tried to look for some pictures of Howard and me, and the only ones I could find is we're in black tie, and that's really frustrating for me. It's understandable because we attended a lot of events together. In fact, over the last couple of years, our associations were limited to NMHS dinners, Coast Guard events, and occasional visits as I was driving through New York. And we tried to catch up on the phone at least once a week. I'm not sure we were able to keep to that schedule all the time, but we tried. In fact, one of the things I'm very grateful for is that I got an opportunity to talk to Howard on the Friday before he entered the hospital, to tell him that I love him. And I got a chance to talk to him one last time. But most of our memories were formed sailing an Eagle. Over a 3-year period, Howard was the person who sailed with me the most. And we visited ports from St. Petersburg, Russia to San Francisco, California. And he was my constant companion as we visited and went out on liberty in ports around the world. And he spent many hours with me watching sunrises and sunsets. And my memories of him are not in black tie, but rather in fleece or rain gear, dockers, and boat shoes. And I think that's the way that we were most comfortable. And I got to know a lot about Howard as we spent that time together. He told sea stories. And sailors, when they start off a sea story, often say, "This is a no something," and I think some of you know what I mean. All Howard's sea stories started with, "Have I ever told you about the time?" And I probably heard most of the stories many, many times, but each time I heard them, there was some nuance, something new that I learned. And he never gave me a chance to say, "Yes, I've heard this before." He just went on into the story, and I appreciated all of them. But his tales were about going to get the tall ships to come to New York for op sail, tall ship captains that he had met around the world, former captains of Eagle that he maintained relationships with, op sail, and NMHS, many friends, acquaintances, Walter Cronkite, Peter Stanford, Birchie Green, Ron Oswald, Rick Lopes, and many, many others that have become friends of mine because they were friends of Howard. And of course, Howard also spoke of family. Sheila, Sharon, and in later years, Linda, who was his very dear companion. But whether it was family, friends, shipmates, associates, he loved them all, and he always looked out for them. And he also loved the National Maritime Historical Society, and he looked out for the society and its good works. And that's why I'm so grateful that so many of you have contributed to the Howard Slotnick Leadership Fund to sustain the efforts of the National Maritime Historical Society as we go forward into the future. Howard loved this organization just as he loved all of us, and we loved him. So it's sad to say goodbye to our dear departed Chairman Emeritus, but we are all better for having had time with him and the great memories that we have of him. And I would never wish Howard fair winds in following seas, because he always stayed in that Admiral's stateroom, which is all the way aft, and he didn't like it when they were following seas because he couldn't sleep. So I'll just finish by saying, fair winds, Howard. I love you, shipmate.
Thank you, Admiral. Tonight, as we remember Howard Slotnick, we also pay tribute to all those award recipients who are no longer with us. Leaders in the field like Carl Cordham, Peter Stanford, Walter Cronkite, Alan Villiers, Robert G. Albion, David A. O'Neill, Olin J. Stevens II, Jakob Branson, Oswald Brett, Clive Cussler, Captain Bert Rogers, and so many others upon whose work we continue to build. Fair winds, shipmates. We thank all our award recipients who are here with us tonight and who have helped us celebrate. We honor the efforts of those who have fostered greater awareness of our maritime heritage, propelled support for historic ships, preserved seafaring traditions, steered people out onto the water, and educated students with innovative maritime programs. We champion the work of these individuals, not just at our awards dinners, but on our website, in biopic films, at scholarly conferences and seminars, through our advocacy efforts in the halls of Congress, with collaboration among the maritime heritage community, and of course, in Sea History Magazine, the preeminent journal of advocacy and education. Thank you for your work, and back to you, Rich.
Our trustee, Jean Ward, and just his daughters, Miriam and Layla, always help with the raffle at the seminar series, and they will pick the winners here tonight. The first draw will win the fabulous painting donated by American Society of Marine Artists fellow Len Miserek, and the three follow-up winners with a bag of highly valuable, yet priceless, NMHS paraphernalia.
Hello, girls.
Hello, Miss Jean. Hi.
Welcome. We are going to draw the raffle now for the original oil painting by world-renowned American Society of Marine Artists fellow Leonard Miserek, painted on location in Key West of the majestic schooner America 2.0. Assisting me in drawing the raffle are our junior volunteers, Layla and Miriam, daughters of our Vice President, Jessica MacFarlane. Layla, please read the winning ticket for the painting.
Okay. And the winner is Joanne O'Neill.
3 runners-up will receive an NMHS cap, a 2021 Classic Sale Calendar, NMHS note cards, and our engraved crystal cube Kyolani paperweight.
And the winner is William M. Rosen. And the winner is Ronald L. Butchman. William M. Rosen.
Congratulations to the winners. We will be contacting you shortly. And thank you all for supporting NMHS. And thank you, girls, for your assistance.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. You've been a patient and wonderful audience. We had none of the squeaking chairs and people moving about like in the model room of the New York Yacht Club, and the parking has been convenient and cheap. Thank you all for your generous support of the Society in fair winds and foul. We salute the ships, organizations, and individuals who've been the recipients of the Society's awards for half a century. As always, the U.S. Coast Guard Academy Cadet Chorale, under the direction of Dr. Robert Newton, will sing us out.
How green are your valleys, how blue your great skies. Your mountains stand tall in their glory. Your rivers run free, the bright stars are your eyes. Your beauty is endless before me.
When times we are far from you, forests and streams, when sailing in your shining waters, we carry your hopes, your spirit, your dreams in the hearts of your sons and your daughters. For you are the song ever singing in me, and you are the heart ever true. For you are my land, and you always will be the voice ever calling me home to you. When to your green valleys someday I return, when you lay your mantle around me, at rest I will be where the heart will not yearn, with my land to ever surround me. For you are the song ever singing in me, and you are the heart ever true. For you are my land, and you always will be the voice ever calling me home to you. For you are the song ever singing in me, and you are the heart ever true. For you are my land, and you always will be the voice ever calling me home to you. The voice ever calling me home to you.
Good night and stay safe.
Goodbye, shipmates.
Good night. Thank you, and have a lovely evening.
Wonderful to see everyone. We look forward to seeing you again next year, live and in person. And it's time for another toast, I believe.
So, did you bring the champagne?
I've got a case of champagne, my dear.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
Cheers.
Good night.
I hope you've had a pleasant evening, and that we'll see you live next year.
We warmly look forward to being gathered together with you in person next year.
Thank you all for being here. We look forward to seeing you at the New York Yacht Club in the model room next year for this event, and appreciate all your support. Good evening.
Good night, and hope to see you all in person in the future.